Okay, so I have these Neutrik 1/4" TRS, and they kind of look exactly like yours. We have the two, there's our center, and there's our tip, ring, and sleeve. See this stupid piece of plastic right here? Because you want to solder directly to this metal, you're just going to take that and just rip it away, cut it away, any way that you feel fit doing that. Sometimes you just bend these out of the way. And it is plastic, so it's not really going to rip away that easily. You might have to coerce it into listening. Okay, so anyway, once that's off, that's essentially what you're left with. This is a used one, so these are already crimped over, but you get the idea. As far as stripping off the magnet wire, so here's a spool. This is non-braided, it's solid core, but the idea remains the same. You're going to want to use some sort of helping hands because it can get hot, and you are going to apply a lot of heat for a decent amount of time. So what I do is once it's crimped down on there, the soldering tip is a bit small for this, but let's see what happens. So I'll take a big ball of solder, and then I'll just kind of let it sit at the end, and you can see it just immediately starts to melt all of that away. And it takes the color away, and just you're left with tinned up metal. There you can see all the crap that's on there. So what I do is I continue to solder it and put more solder balls on there, and essentially just fill it up with solder and remove the solder. So then you're left with a nice clean tinned wire. And a quick note about that jacket I was talking about. So let's say we have this piece of wire here. Okay, so we have our metal, that's the wire portion of it. And these are, we're going to assume these are spread out. So just make sure that you have the jacket inside the crimp. So when you go ahead and you crimp it down, you're grabbing all rubber and not metal. So it's going to look like that, but of course it'll be soldered up. So you'll have 3 wires, and of course one of them will be soldered to this portion here. Best way to do that is to fill that entire back plate with solder. And you can either apply heat underneath, or you can apply it directly on top. In this case, I'm going to do underneath because solder likes to flow towards the heat. So I put a big ball of solder on there, and I'll touch and hold underneath, kind of go back and forth, and then you'll just see the solder just pull right up in the center, and I'll pull it wherever I need it to go. Same thing for those holes. So those would normally be screw holes, but now they're filled with solder. And you can actually put the soldering iron in the hole to kind of get more contact, and then fill it up with solder. And of course everything is all tinned up, ready to go, and you can put your wires on there, crimp it down, make sure they're flush so you can get the shell on there, and you're good to go.